Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I have another review for you, but it's a little bit different than what I usually do, because usually I will have a nice cool tattoo machine, and this time I got a printer. We got a wireless stencil printer from Yilong. It's the ATS886. It's a wireless tattoo stencil printer, and we're gonna talk about it and see how it works, so stay tuned. So right here we got the box. Here it says ATS886. That's the stencil printer with a little print on it. It says tattoo printer. Now let's open it up. I have already opened it, so not all the packing material is still in the box, because otherwise it would be too much to get it in there. But everything that was in the box is still here, like the user manual. Of course, we always read that. Here you got some stencil paper that's squeezed into this little roll. And here we got a nice sleeve. And in that sleeve we got the stencil printer itself. Now I was so surprised by how small this printer is. There's also a USB cable so you can charge it, because this thing runs on a battery. It's insane. I have literally, you have no idea. Our printer in the shop broke down, so I went from having a printer that was about to die to hand drawing my stencils, to just printing stencils wireless. Here you have the design, the ATS886. You can see some buttons on here, and there's a button over here. But let's turn it on first. The power button is right here on the side. As you can see, power button's right there. You turn it on and it starts beeping. There we go. Now if you press this button, it'll open the tray where you have to feed your paper in. Then when the paper is in, you can close it. You could even press the feed button just to get the paper a little bit further out, and you can print it. Now in order to print this, you either need your phone or a tablet. So I'm quickly gonna get my iPad and I'll show you how to get the app started. So I got the iPad. The app is already installed. If you type in your app store ATS886, you'll see this little icon right here. Press on it and it'll have you search for the device. Now it has a QR code that you can scan, so it automatically connects to the app. But if you turn your Bluetooth on, it'll also connect straight away. But if you feel like you don't want to do it on Bluetooth, you can just connect it through the QR code. Now here you can see it's already connected. Well, and then we have to start printing. Right in here you can either take a picture, so maybe you have already hand drawn something and you want to take a picture to make a stencil out of that. You can do that right here. Or you can go to your pictures and photos if you have like a Procreate thing. I've made this little sheet over here because it has a lot of different style of drawings on it. It has something super bold, it has something that has bold and fine lines together, and right in the corner here it has like a little fine line kind of tattoo. Now in the bottom here you have a couple of things to choose. You have the density that you can set low or higher. If you want to have a super dense stencil, I would recommend to use the higher. Self-adaptation or real size. Now I don't really know what that means. I think if you draw on something on like a smaller piece of paper, you can stretch it out or make it smaller. So I think it'll do something like that. Then underneath here it says blah 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 blah. Almost sounds like Hotel Transylvania. But it makes the background darker or lighter. So right here you can see it is getting darker a little bit, and then this, by going back, will make the background a little bit lighter. Now I hope you can see that on the screen. I think this is probably a feature that will work really nice if you do if you do take a picture. So if you take a picture of something, you know how the camera will make the picture probably a little bit darker, or the white of your paper is not completely white, and you can probably adapt it by using these buttons underneath here. Now when that is all set, we do need to charge the printer with a little bit of stencil paper, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and then you can hit print right up here. So let's get some stencil paper in the printer. We're going to use it that actually came with the printer, so we can test the stencil paper as well. So let's get the iPad out of the way just for a sec, and we're going to open this paper. You can probably see normally the stencil paper will have a little bit of yellow paper on the back, which I think they took off. I don't know why, but anyway, it'll still work. Move the rest out of the way. Now the stencil paper, it's a little bit thick. If you're used to like using Spirit or something like that, the stencil paper itself will be a lot thinner. It'll be more like the protective sheet pretty much, but doesn't matter, it'll still print. I do like how dark the carbon is on this paper. Sometimes with the stencil paper that does come from China, it's really light. This one is nice and dark. Now, how do we put this in the stencil printer? If you have a if you have a yellow sheet on the back, you have to remove it. But in this case, that's not necessary. You're gonna open this printer by pressing the button. In there. There we go. Now it's in. You can see it took out like the little top part that usually has nothing on it. And now on the iPad right here, we're gonna press the print button. There you go. It's transferring the data. This always takes a little bit. And then it's gonna start printing. Ooh. There we go. That's looking pretty crisp. I like it. And I'm gonna tell you why I did a more fine line, a super bold line, and something that's mixed up. Let's first look at the other side of the paper, because that's the part that's gonna go onto the skin. Now, you can see that on the bigger piece, you can see the bold lines, the thin lines, they are all pretty crisp. Now the fine line one didn't come out too great. You can see it's barely there. Now the one with the bold lines came out perfect. There's no bleeding in the paper, because that's what happens sometimes. So why did I print all these different line weights to see how it works on one piece of paper? At one of the shops that I work in, we have a TIM printer. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a big professional stencil printer, big green thing. You have to put your paper in and your stencil kind of on each other into two plastic sheets and run it through the machine. Now, even though that is a very high-end or a more expensive stencil printer, if I would print this piece, it will either have like super nice bold lines and no fine lines, or everything will just be one big smudge. And I think that's very bad for like an expensive tattoo stencil printer. Now, with this one, you can see it actually came out great. I don't know if it's maybe because of the paper, it does look a little bit light in some places. But on this one, it seemed to have done really great. And then this one completely fell out. And that's maybe because there's a lot of bold lines and had all the attention here and not so much here. But it is something you might need to consider if you do a lot of fine line, that it might make it lighter. Now I do want to test one more thing. Because maybe we can just change it, because we set the density as high as possible, real size. Yeah, maybe if we do it on a different blah, it might make it a little bit darker. So I'm gonna use it on 4. I had it on 1. Let's just give it a shot, see what happens. Oh yeah, now you can already tell my little fine line tattoo came out a lot better. Even on my big tattoo, the lines came out a lot better. You can see that it does smudge maybe just a little bit more on the bold lines, but if you do fine line work, then yeah, you definitely want to use this setting. Yeah, you can see that little flame thingy was not really existing on the first print, and on the second print it's pretty clear. You can also see the bold lines still look good. They do look a little bit bolder, and I do feel like this machine does have like differences in like what's in the middle and certain things that take focus. So if you want to use a lot of things on one page, maybe that's not recommended, but if you do one piece and you center it, it might work a lot better. All in all, this is a really good stencil, and I could definitely work with something like this. As you can see, very clear, the bold one as well, and then the small little fine line flame thingy, also very clear. Let's see what actually happens if we take a picture of something. So we're gonna go back. Let's take a picture of the manual. Use photo. Now of course here we can adjust the blah, which does make it lighter. You see, you don't get as much shades on there as well. And another cool trick I wanted to show you, because you can add some things. If you want to crop it or mirror it, you can do that here. It's really simple. There's like a little pencil right here. You can press on it and it has all these things in the bottom. Now here you can mirror it. That one is pretty, it speaks for itself. If you do cut, I think, yeah, you can do the borders a little bit different. Or also if you have like a flash sheet saved onto your iPad and you want to do just one piece, you can just select that one piece that's on your flash sheet, which is really nice. Okay, layout, you can adjust the size. So if you have a design and it needs to be bigger or smaller, you can change that. Let's just make this one a bit bigger and move it up a little bit. Perfect. Line. Oh, there you go. So let's say you do a portrait of something. What does this button do? Oh, with the segment, I think, but I might be wrong, you could kind of divide your stencil into 4 pieces. So let's say if you want to get something a lot larger, you can probably divide it here, you see, and you can enlarge it to a full page, which is a really cool feature. I did not know about it. It just actually clicked into my brain that this was actually probably gonna be what it is. and you can get one segment. So if you have to do like a back piece or something like that, you can just make segments and get them in the right size, and they will all be in the right size. You can switch here, and you see they're all gonna be in the same size, and you're basically gonna have 4 A4 papers of this exact tattoo. I think that's an amazing feature. I don't know how many of you are doing really big pieces. I don't necessarily do it a lot. I am planning on doing something that's a little bit bigger, and that just takes forever to figure it out if you have to do it with a regular printer. And this one, it just is, it's like one click on the button. Even if you want to do like a, oh shit, now I screwed it up. Like for example, this one. This is gonna be a cover up for a chest piece. Now, if I would make a stencil out of this, it'll probably not fit on one piece of paper. I will probably need 2 of them in order to get it in the right size, because it's one A4 paper is not going to cover the whole chest piece. Now let's quickly save that. Save the images. I do wish it has a button where you can print directly to the app, but that's okay. We'll just go to the app, go back, pictures. Here's our little owl. Here we go. Now we're gonna go to here. So that is a really cool feature, that you can just use this to make either a bigger piece and you can print it straight away. You can even do 6 pieces. If you want to do like a full back piece, you might need 6 papers, and it'll just divide it for you and you can just print it. I do think you have to load a whole bunch of paper in there in order to print it right, because when you open the printer again it says an error has been erupted. So maybe if you already stick the pieces of paper onto each other, it might just print it in one smooth go. I just think it's like a super cool option that it actually does that for you, because it can be really tricky to print and copy something and they're all gonna be the exact same size, which I think is a really cool feature. So let's quickly just go back up top and let's talk about the stencil printer a little bit more. So I really hope you enjoyed watching the review on this stencil printer by Yilong, the ATS886. I am really surprised about what the stencil printer can do. It puts out super nice and crisp stencils. You can even divide your stencils into pieces if you have to do larger pieces. And it is so small, you can basically take it everywhere, which is really nice if you work in like a little private studio or in a shop where you just don't have that much room for a computer, a printer and all that kind of setup. And of course, if you work in conventions and you don't want to wait at that stencil booth for a couple of hours in order to get your stencil right, and in order for them to get them in the right size and all that stuff, because sometimes these people are not the best at printing your stencils. And of course you are the person that knows how you like your stencils. So yeah, this thing pretty much fits in your back pocket and you're good to go. It has a battery, so you don't need any cables if you just charge it before you go there. That is absolutely amazing, and I'm really impressed by it, because I have seen someone use like a small stencil printer like this and it would just crumble up the paper and all screwed up. This one is actually really easy to handle. It doesn't have too many buttons. It has a good app, which I do think can be improved a little bit, because it does glitches sometimes and you have to redo certain things if you press one wrong button. But that's okay. It's just something you need to get used to. Also, how the app works is something, of course, you need to learn how to use. I think the user manual can probably be very helpful, or just play around with it for a couple of hours and use the stencil paper that was provided with the stencil printer, just so you can play around, make a couple of prints, see how it works if you do this, do that. And so basically what I did in this video for you guys, so you already have a little bit more inside information about this printer. Now, of course, I will put the link in the description below where you can buy this printer. And And I would definitely recommend get something like this if you are starting up a shop, or if you are looking for a new wireless stencil printer, because it has a lot of cool features like I told you, and it seems to work really nice. I'm very satisfied with it. I want to thank the people at Yilong that sent this one out to me to review for you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We got more reviews coming to this channel because companies are sending me some things that you will see in the next video. So do make sure you do subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video or a product review. And yeah, that's it. I wish you all a wonderful day and see you in the next video.